Please join me stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then remain standing for a moment of silence for military public safety personnel past and present. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next we've got the review of minutes from past meetings. Does anybody have any changes? I've got one. Page 2 of 5, I guess it is. The second bullet at the very top of the second page, Mr. McCluskey stated when introducing new legislation, it is recommended council members bring up for discussion at a council roundtable. I'd like that to change to say it is recommended council members first bring up for discussion at council roundtable at a previous meeting, just so that for the record in the future, it's clear. I think that's the only change I had. Let me see if there's any others. Nope, that's it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from February 4th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next, I've got closed session announcements. February 18th, 2021. Town Council met in closed session on Tuesday, February 18th, 2021 at 6:34 p.m. via a Zoom call to consult with council to obtain legal advice on a legal matter in accordance with the Maryland Open Meetings Act. All 5 members of the Town Council voted to close the session. The authority to close the session is found in Section 3-305 of the General Provisions Article. The Town Council discussed the following topics: consult with council, discuss legal advice on a development agreement and a zoning matter. Actions. No actions taken. The following members and staff were present via a Zoom call: Timothy E. McCluskey, President; Stephen K. Klein, Vice President; Robert R. Hardy, Jr., Jeffrey D. Keel, and Shelby C. Anania, members; Steve Walls, Town Manager; and Sharon Van Emberg, Town Attorney. The meeting adjourned at 7:37 p.m. Closed session announcement regarding Town Council closed session, February 25, 2021. The Town Council met in closed session on Tuesday, February 25th, 2021 at 6:12 p.m. at the Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, second floor meeting room, to discuss personnel and consult with council to obtain legal advice on a legal matter in accordance with the Maryland Open Meetings Act. All 5 members of the Town Council voted to close the session. The authority to close the session is found in Section 3-305 of the General Provisions Article. The Town Council discussed the following topics: personnel, interviewed a candidate for a board or commission vacancy, consult with council, discuss legal advice on a developer agreement and on a zoning matter. Actions. No actions taken. The following members and staff were present via present period, right? Not via Zoom call. That's present period.
Yeah.
Timothy E. McCluskey, President; Stephen K. Klein, Vice President; Robert R. Hardy, Jr., Jeffrey D. Keel, and Shelby C. Anania, members; Steve Walls, Town Manager; Sharon Van Emberg, Town Attorney, and candidate for board/commission position. The meeting adjourned at 6:56 p.m. Moving forward, we're going to go to Citizens Forum. Carolyn, would you read the announcement?
Welcome to this meeting of the Centreville Town Council. This is a public meeting and we welcome your participation. By attending, you acknowledge that this session is recorded and aired live on QAC TV 7. During the meeting, we ask that you turn your cell phones off and hold personal conversations outside the meeting room. The scheduled agenda is available on the information table just outside. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The Town Council respects and appreciates your desire and right to convey your message freely. And in keeping with the dignity of proceedings, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. If questions are a part of your comments, we'll refer those to the appropriate individual. Thank you.
Do you have any emails that were specific for public comments? Is there anybody signed up as far as we know?
No.
Anybody who's interested, please come forward. Hearing none, we're going to close Citizens Forum. Next, we have appearances, boards and commissions, approvals, and then possibly oath of office. If anybody that wants to make a motion to approve members for boards and commissions.
Chrissy?
Jennifer is the first one.
I make a motion that we accept Jennifer Holgreave for her position on the board.
Okay.
Okay.
Board of Supervisors of Elections
Right.
for a 3-year term expiring in April 2024. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Do we have any other board and commissions recommendations or approvals?
I move to appoint Chrissy Chisholm to a 3-year term on the Board of Supervisors of Elections.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. I believe that we have Jennifer Holgreave here, is here tonight. Do we want to invite her in and give her the oath of office? I'm going to change things up here a little bit. I'm going to actually ask Council Vice President Steve Klein if he would do the honors of swearing in Ms. Holgreave.
We'll learn how to do this together. Please raise your right hands. Say aye.
I,
Pronounce your name in full and repeat after me. I, your name,
Jennifer Holgreave,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland.
and I will
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
be faithful and bear allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of member of the Town of Centreville Board of Supervisors of Elections.
execute the position
Execute the office of member of the Town of Centreville
member of Town of Centreville,
Board of Supervisors of Elections
Board of Supervisors of Elections,
for a 3-year term expiring April 2024,
for a 3-year term expiring April 2024,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state,
the Town Charter,
the Town Charter,
and laws and ordinances of the Town of Centreville.
and laws and ordinances of the Town of Centreville.
Perfect. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. So this appointment comes as the result of a charter change that has recently been approved to move the Board of Supervisors of Elections from 3 members to 5 members. And in fact, at our next council meeting, the Board of Supervisors of Elections will be providing a presentation to the council as to what they do and how they do it.
And you're welcome to come to that. I'll send you an email.
Thank
Thanks for coming. All right, next we have under appearances the Centreville Ethics Commission presentation. If you would just introduce yourselves and then you can get started. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good evening. My name is Martha Herman, and I am a member of the Centreville Ethics Commission. I have been so for 29 years, and I am presently the chairman.
Hi, I'm Carrie O'Connor. I am the vice chairman, and I've been on the Centreville Ethics Committee since 2014. And so thank you for having us tonight. And it's my understanding it's the first time that the commissions have come out and done some presentations, so we're happy to be here.
And we want to thank you for the masks and the $20. Unfortunately, we couldn't have our dinner this year, but the way things have been, I guess it was safer to not have it. So I don't have my mask on tonight because I'm doing some talking and it's a little hard to breathe, so I don't want to insult anybody, but thank you for the mask. It's very nice. Carolyn gave us some questions that you all had submitted to us for some information. And what we've done is we've put down, or actually I did this, I typed all the questions that were submitted to us, and I have all the answers. Okay, so what we're going to do, if you have no objection, is to read to you the questions and the answers, and we're going to take turns. Okay?
I like it.
And I also have handouts for each one of you.
I'll do it.
Carolyn? There should be 6 there. One for her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is actually the first time we've had any town council group ask us to come before you all. But that's fine, we're prepared, so we'll start. The first question that was submitted was who they are. Martha Herman, which is me, as chairman. I was appointed in 1992, May of 1992. Carrie O'Connor is their vice chairman. She was appointed June 2014. And Lucy Ikes Marks, who could not be here tonight, is a member, and she was appointed in April of 2017. The Ethics Commission is composed of 3 volunteer members appointed by the Town Council. Each member serves a 3-year term and may be reappointed. Chairman's term is 1 year and may be reelected. There are no term limits. The chairman and vice chairman is elected by the current commission's sitting members in January of each year.
So our official functions, the Ethics Commission is an advisory body for the Centreville Town Council and is charged with issuing advisory opinions when requested, receiving and investigating complaints of ethics violations, and hearing testimony and rendering determination as to the violations of Chapter 54 of the Town of Centreville Code. I remember Chapter 54 because I think of Studio 54. I'm like, we're Chapter 54, Studio 54. The commission may refer a complaint to its attorney or other legal counsel if appropriate for investigation and review. After a complaint is filed and until a final finding of a violation by the commission, all actions regarding a complaint are confidential. The Ethics Commission receives and reviews financial disclosure forms from all town elected officials, candidates for elective public office, certain town employees, and for all members of town boards and commissions. And the Ethics Commission develops, receives, maintains ethics-related forms authorized and/or mandated by state law or town code.
Okay, the next question was, what is the Ethics Commission working on now? The Ethics Commission is called as needed, except when we yearly review financial statements.
What would the Ethics Commission like the Town Council to know what they are doing now? We're not doing anything right now. So that's a good thing, right? Because we're not presently in session at this time.
When does the Ethics Commission meet? When the office of the town clerk receives a complaint, she will ensure it is received on the proper form, is both signed and notarized. The complaint shall then be logged in. The town clerk shall notify the Ethics Commission chair of the receipt of the complaint. The Ethics Commission meets as needed with an average of 3 to 4 times per year, usually for an hour. A quorum shall consist of 2 members. The office of the Centreville Town Clerk shall attend all meetings to take minutes, and in the event of oral testimony is given in support of either side of a complaint, audio record the testimony.
Why is the Ethics Commission important? To ensure that town government is representative and responsive and accountable. Government officials may be influenced to make decisions based on private interests. Responding to those concerns, the Ethics Commission can require disclosure of conflicts of interest and ensure officials, staff, board, and commission members set aside private interests in favor of the public trust. How? To ensure the public has trust in the system, if there's a question, bring it before the commission to review and provide an opinion.
Are there any special projects the Ethics Commission is working on? Any budget items they would like the council to consider? How much and why? And the answer to that is no.
Does the Ethics Commission have any staffing support challenges? Do they have adequate staff? Yes. Carolyn helps us quite a bit. But there are times when we meet over a project that we need the presence of an attorney for legal counsel unless there is a conflict of interest with the attorney, in which case the town council would provide sufficient funds to hire independent counsel.
Are there any long-term items, issues, planning that the council should be aware of? The Ethics Commission needs to stay apprised of any changes to state law that would affect the Centreville's Code of Ethics, Chapter 54-3.
What doesn't the Ethics Commission do? What is outside of our scope? An Ethics Commission volunteer may not use his public position to engage in political activity because a public employee who does so is using his official position to secure for himself or others, such as a candidate or a ballot question committee, unwarranted privileges of substantial value that are not properly available to similarly situated persons.
Is the Ethics Commission advisory, or do they have decision-making power? They are only advisory.
How could the council make the Ethics Commission's job easier? I don't know, but to ensure the public has trust in the system, and if there is a question, bring it before the commission to review and provide an opinion.
How could the council be more transparent with the public about their board? In accordance with town laws regarding public records, the Ethics Commission shall publish or otherwise make available to the public copies of the advisory opinions with the identities of the subjects deleted. And that wraps up the questions. So what you have in front of you is what we just read, plus the Ethics Commission's standard operating procedures, which are attached.
Well, thank you guys for coming in. Council, does anybody have any questions or comments they want to make?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
I do just want to make a couple of comments, right? So I think it's super important that we have the ethics board, and I really appreciate the fact that you guys have served, and Martha, that you've been here for so long. It's really, really good.
I don't want her to leave.
I was in my 40s when I came on board.
I think that having the fact, having all of the different boards and commissions coming in and making a presentation to the council, to me, it does two things, right? We've got 4 brand new council members, so it kind of helps them to bring everybody up to speed on at the same time. I wish that when I first got on the council, I was given that opportunity to meet all the different boards and commissions. And the second part is now that the town is televising all of our meetings and recording them, the public can get an understanding of what the Ethics Commission does and how it serves the town and what your function is. One of the things that I learned early on that our town attorney had originally said was the Ethics Commission is your friend. And it really is, right? I mean, I know that I've gone for several advisory opinions, and it's very helpful to know before there's a question to get an advisory opinion and have it be rendered. So I want to thank you for coming out and look forward to anything else you guys have to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Martha.
All right, moving forward, we're going to go to old business, ordinance 01-2020, text amendment, agricultural uses in the planned business district, second reading. I'm going to just submit the top part for reading. I'll read that right now. An ordinance of the Town Council of Centreville amending the Town Code of Centreville zoning ordinance, which is Chapter 170 of the Town Code, to add agriculture as a permitted use subject to limitations contained herein in the Planned Business District, PBD. This is scheduled for a public hearing, I believe, at our next meeting. Is that correct? Carolyn?
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. We're having a public hearing at our next meeting.
No, the public hearing was not scheduled, has not been scheduled yet.
Okay, all right, so let's get that scheduled for whatever the next available time is going to be. This was seen per the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, it was seen before the Planning Commission, and they did forward a favorable recommendation to the Town Council for ordinance 01-2021. Any council members have any questions or discussion on this?
Are we authorizing complete usage of that acreage? My understanding is that they're only building on 1/3 of the property. Is that correct?
So when you do a zoning ordinance, it applies to everything in that particular zone.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but at this time, I understood they're just,
That-
you're
that's
the
correct.
liaison,
Yeah,
so I'm asking you.
Yeah, so there's a proposal for an expansion of GTI's property down there, and what they are looking to do is they've got a parcel that they're going to be subdividing, and they're going to be growing
Yes.
agriculture there.
Yeah,
But again, when you do a zoning text amendment, it applies to everything in that zone.
Okay, no,
Yep.
that's all right. I just wanted to get that full understanding.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, we're going to schedule a public hearing for that, and then we'll go forward. Next, moving to ordinance 02-2021, text amendment moratorium, accessory structures over 400 square feet. Council Vice President, do you want to read the top of that?
I think you just did. We do have, I will follow up on that fine introduction with, to 2-2021 with a positive recommendation from the town's planning commission.
Okay. And Carolyn, do we have that scheduled for a public
Get them
hearing?
both scheduled on the same time.
Okay. All right, anybody have any further questions on that? All right, next we're going to be discussing the tax set-off / tax differential discussion. At our last meeting, I did a presentation to talk about the tax differential and the tax set-off, what it was historically, et cetera. We do have Karen here if there are any questions, but I do want to open this up for any discussion. We were required to send our request into the county as of yesterday, I believe that it was, for what we are asking for in terms of percentages. Steve, is that correct? Okay, so we did that?
As of Tuesday.
I'm sorry?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, excuse me, okay. So one of the things that I think, if anybody has any discussion, I believe that, in previous years, before there was a tax differential, the town received a considerable amount of money from the county, which really helped our budget out. And I think that some of the plans that we have here are and we're gonna get our budget here in a little while, in a couple of weeks, it's gonna require a little bit more money. And I think we've got some good momentum, but I think that we should consider having the county provide a kind of a split between reducing the tax rate and then providing some cash to the town. So I'm open to making some recommendations, and I'm open to hearing anybody if they have any
What
comments
if
on that.
what is the current tax differential, like 11% or something?
I think it's, I think Karen had it here.
Or Karen?
It's like 11 point something.
My question
cents.
is, say, I'm gonna do a theoretical.
Yep.
Say it's 11%, the tax differential.
It's not a percentage, it's an actual dollar amount.
Okay, say it's
11 cents.
11 cents.
Yeah.
Say they go with our recommendations and it goes up to 13 cents. I'm being positive.
Yeah.
Can we then, instead of returning that difference between 11 and 13, that could be, and I discussed this with Karen, could be an option that difference could be returned to us in a cash lump sum.
Absolutely.
And that would go then into the general fund and maybe address your comment that we're going to need some more money.
Yep.
And so what you just said, I'm trying to fully understand, that 11 cents, you, instead of returning the full 11 cents to the citizens that own property in the town, depending on what the budget is, what the needs are to meet the budget, maybe we would then only have 9 cents go back? Is that what, I'm talking
Well,
numbers.
so I think you're saying two different things, right? You're saying that it's 11 cents now. If they give us 13,
Right.
we just take 11, and then the
Yeah.
2 cent difference is the cash that comes to us.
Right, that's the positive, I would say an optimistic.
So to put that in perspective, right, if we got 11 last year, we actually asked for 18.
Right,
This year, I think we're asking for the same.
right.
And each year, when we ask for a little bit more, the
Right.
amount that they actually give us is considerably less. So let me just explain out. Let's say we did that last year, right? The difference between what we got in FY 2020 and what we got in FY 2021 was $33,000.
Okay.
Right? Which is not very much when it
No,
comes
it
to our budget. If we did it from FY 19 to FY 20, it's $24,000.
Okay.
So what we gave up back in the day, right, back when we went from just here's a cash payment to now it's a differential, I forget what that number was. It was like it was $272,000.
Okay.
So immediately when all of a sudden it went back to the residents, to the taxpayers, we now had a hole in our budget of $272,000.
Correct. So has this thought of not giving back the differential been discussed, or are we going to have a hearing on that, or?
This is it right now.
I want to say, I am not supportive of not giving the tax differential back to the residents of Centreville. I think we've got a second year of utility rate increases coming next year, next summer, and dealing with a rate increase this year, which I think was appropriate. And I'm not arguing that that was not appropriate, but I do think that there is, I would just feel strongly compelled, given the fact that this is poorly timed, I guess, in my opinion, because we haven't had a chance to look at that budget. And I would feel much more comfortable talking about this perhaps next year or in other out years, budget out years, but we have no idea what we're going to spend this money on. It's just, and to me, that is some of the worst aspects of government, right? We need more revenue. We don't have any concept of what we're going to use it on. We just need more. And I don't think that's something that I can support. I'm just speaking as one vote here, but I am supportive of sending the funding back to the residents of Centreville. And we've also, since we've been here, I know the town worked on it for a long time. We all voted to increase, most of us voted to increase the permits and fee structure as well. So I'm going to stand by saying at least this vote is for returning the tax differential to the taxpayers.
The full tax
The
differential?
full tax differential. Yes.
Okay.
So would it be more appropriate if we had a discussion like this as we get presented our budget, and then we know exactly what some of the requests are and where some of the holes might be?
Yeah, I think I would feel much better about, I did not run on increasing revenues, just to be clear, but I will say that I would feel much more comfortable if we said, this is and selling this both to the county commissioners and to the taxpayers, to say, this is the kind of funding we need to, and dollars to dollars, apples to apples, this is the funding we need to fund LEOPS. Yes. This is what we need.
Agree.
And we go to the county commissioners and say, the town of Centreville needs to provide the same benefit. I'm just using LEOPS as an example.
Yeah, I think it's
The
a great
same
example.
The same benefit to our police officers as the county does right down the road. And this is what we want to earmark this money for. We're not just coming in and saying, we could really use $200,000 and we'll decide what we spend it on in a couple months, but we have something, we actually have a real identified need. And to me, I would be much more comfortable with that than, and you could also take that to the taxpayers and say, we're not just taking this to buy new trucks or whatever the case may be, but we are doing this to provide a needed benefit for the folks that work here. That would include, I think, a salary review for the people that we haven't looked at yet, which is the rest of the town's staff. To me, this is the kind of way that we build a case both to the county commissioners and to the taxpayers that we are being fiscally responsible and stewarding, their dollars. I reject the notion this is the county's money or the town's money. I philosophically believe this is the people's money. We don't have a plan for how to spend it other than we'll find a way to spend it. And I'm pretty fundamentally against that. So
I think it's a great point. I would like to add, though, that taking care of your employees and funding things like LEOPS, those are all good things, but so is buying a truck if it's needed. I think we've seen some of those pictures.
I was
so-
not making a judgment.
Yep.
Anything we had spent money on. But yeah, we have spent money. We had a mid-year capital budget review. So to me, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar enough with the budget and a budget process to say Centreville has a revenue problem. I cannot credibly sit here and say that right now today, that Centreville has a bona fide revenue problem with identified needs, and we need to fix that revenue problem. We've got a 40.5 cents, right, 0.405 tax rate as it is. That seems comparable with other municipalities around town or around the county, around the area. So, don't think I'm moving on this, but I'm just one.
I think it's a great point. Jeff, do you have anything you want to add?
I'm with Steve. I think it should go back to the taxpayers.
All right. Shelby?
I agree with Steve. I think what he said was perfect, and I would vote to have it go back to the taxpayers.
All right, so I guess the question at hand is I'm hearing two different things, right? I'm hearing that we're not even going to ask And then I'm hearing, what if we find our budget and we decide that there is that need and we can't fund it another way? Then we would consider it. So I
Considering
just,
it in out years, not this year.
not this year.
I think yeah.
Okay. All right, so
But
let's,
then with my optimistic case, what if we get more money from them, or instead of 11 cents, we get 13 cents?
Well, we're asking for 18, right?
18.
The premise is we were going to be returning the current is 11 cents, correct? And we're hoping for 18.
the policy has always been, it goes all the way back, it goes to the taxpayers. There's, the town.
Whatever the number is what I'm hearing. I just wanted to make sure I'm fully understood.
Yep.
Because like you said, if we had additional money that, like Steve says, we can identify for something like LEOPS or other.
I do believe we are going to have those needs this year, and so what I would request of the council, and I'll go either way, however the decision goes, is that instead of making a hard decision right now, let's wait to see what the budget actually looks like, and if those expenses are there, and we do have that hole in the budget, let's allow ourselves to revisit it.
What is the budget timeframe to get to these kind of numbers?
I believe that when we start having our budget sessions, we're going to go through these pretty quick, and we're going to get an understanding. Karen, do you want to come up and maybe you could, get to that? And I believe that we need to tell the county commissioners in enough time before they strike their budget.
That was, I was just going to ask,
But we've got some time.
what is the county
It's
budget
sometime in May.
timeframe?
Sometime in
Yeah,
May.
we're usually running along the same timeline as them working on the budget process. I'll submit the draft budget to you guys on the 18th. And then we have our first work session within a week or two of that to start.
Okay.
And we go through the operating pretty quick because there aren't a lot of changes. As far as that goes, it's when we get to the capital where it's a little more stringent.
Yep.
But there will be changes in the operating because of the decision we made based of the chief's request.
Sure, depending on what, if there's any decisions made to do anything in FY '21, or if any of his requests are moved into FY '22. So it all depends.
No, I'm just trying to make sure we fully understand
Yeah.
that we've already endorsed, I'll say, the
Yes.
chief's request. Is that correct?
Yeah, the only one we don't have a figure on is the design, which he's working on now. So once that gets in, then it'll be up to you to decide what fiscal year to.
Okay.
And then LEOPS too, that's another one.
Yeah, see.
And LEOPS is waiting for an actuarial study or something, I understood, is that correct?
Yeah. All right, so I guess the question now is the council willing to table this until some time in the future, or do we just want to say, this year we're done?
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm going to go into the budget process understanding the way I look at it is there are tough decisions to be made, right, in a budgeting process. There are X number of things the town wants to do. Y is the number of revenue. Generally, those things are not the same number. They are tough decisions to make. So I'm not going to, despite this conversation about this differential, I'm not going to go into the budget process trying to find a reason to go ask for the money from the county commissioners. But I'm happy to delay the process to take a good hard look. And if we identify a real hole, sure, let's have that conversation. But if we're looking for money to spend,
So basically, in plain language, to answer Tim's comment, we want to table this? Is that,
Yeah, that's the question that I have.
that's the question?
Table it
And what I'm
until,
hearing from Steve is,
Sure.
I think, let's table this for,
yeah,
I
sure.
mean, I'm asking also the Director of Finance.
all right, is there general consensus to just table it?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. All right, that sounds good. Let's move on to volunteer appreciation dinner. Is there anything on this?
You had asked for it to be put back on later
Okay,
to discuss since we didn't have it. The council did send out little gifts to our volunteers. All our volunteers received a mask and then the $20 Centreville dollars, which we normally give out. So they were all mailed out to each one of our volunteers. So,
So I think that it's a little premature to be planning a big dinner at this point, so let's table this one, I think, as well, unless other council members have any other ideas. Let's put it on, maybe towards May or so, when we see how things, okay. Employee breakfast, I think we're probably at the same thing. Fireworks? Any updates on the fireworks?
no updates yet.
Okay.
Do we have to start at least preliminary plans if we're going to pull it off in July?
Yeah, I
Or when would
usually,
be the
We
drop
agree-
dead date, so to speak?
well, we would, we have a contractor that we work with, so it's scheduling with the contractor for fireworks, and then it kind of just, it's really going to depend on if we'll have the family fun day along with it, or will it just be fireworks? We can kind of get things scheduled. We don't normally do any down payments on anything until a
But
little
I
bit
mean, there has to
later.
be a time where we have to notify the contractor whether we're moving forward or not.
Well, it can be scheduled now, and we can tell them up until about a week before the fireworks whether we want to have them or not.
And we've agreed on a date,
Yeah.
January
July.
July.
Right.
January.
Gonna be watching fireworks in January.
So I think, whatever things you need to put in place, whether it's get approval from the Board of Ed to make sure that we can use their, property, and I would put all of that stuff in place, and then if we need to cancel, whether it's the Family Fun Day, let's do that, right? I mean, the county commissioners, they had fireworks last year, even during this,
Yeah.
and it's my hope that even if we're still in this pandemic, even if we just have the fireworks, families can still spread out and still enjoy that evening.
Okay, so you're asking that, I'm going to put it in one sentence. We're asking Carolyn to kind of put the thing together, package. Is that,
Yeah, I mean, that the operation has been, keep going
Right.
and scheduling
yeah,
everything.
planning.
Who typically puts together the family fun day aspect of this? What do you usually do for that? What does that entail?
So we get vendors that will sell food, that's the first thing, and the council a few years ago decided that we pretty much only allow nonprofit organizations to be our vendors.
Okay.
So that allows them to, so we don't really have commercial vendors there. That allows them to raise some money for their nonprofit. And then we schedule the rides. So depending on how much we can get rides for, whether we'll have 2 or 3 rides. We have not been able to get a Ferris wheel, which Tim wants really bad. But nobody has a Ferris wheel.
And the rides are all free, there's no charge for any
Yes,
of
and
that.
there's no charge, because there is a line item in the budget for 4th of July. So part of that, there's a $5,000 line item that has typically, $2,500 goes towards the fireworks. In the past, the county has donated $5,000, so it's been a $7,500 fireworks show. And then the other $2,500 we use to get the rides, and any other incidentals, the porta potties and that kind of stuff. That's what we use for Family Fun Day.
Okay.
And we typically have a DJ, and then they'll play music during the fun day, and then they'll do music during the fireworks.
Yeah. And the previous chief was my cohort in the planning. He liked all the rides as well. But we'll talk to Chief Sabori if he'll be on, or if I'll get somebody else to help him.
And we're always looking for council members who want to get
Yeah.
involved and help out.
Absolutely, Shelby.
Sounds like we have one.
I don't think Chief Sabori is going to fight you on being a part of that.
I have a conversation in the next couple of weeks. I mentioned earlier, before this meeting, that Ocean City is announced that they're doing their Spring Fest this year. So I'm talking with some people there about how they're planning that, keeping COVID in mind and all the safety precautions that they're taking.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we can use some of that to
Oh, absolutely.
help influence how we can make this as safe as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else? We're good on that. We're going to move to new business. Ordinance 03-2021, Northbrook Phase 3 deed of dedication, first reading. I'll read the top of that. Town Council of Centreville, ordinance number 03-2021. An ordinance for the purpose of authorizing the acceptance of the rights of way, including roadways in the Northbrook Phase 3 subdivision, and consenting to the conveyance of the 6.6 acre proposed park in the Phase 2 of Northbrook subdivision to be conveyed directly to the Northbrook Phase 2 Homeowners Association Incorporated in lieu of a conveyance to the town, in compliance with the Charter of the Town of Centreville, Article 3, Section 301, Paragraph 46, and all matters related thereto. This will be a second reading at our next meeting. Anything further to add to that? Okay. Next is the Park Advisory Annual Report. This is something that we can all read on our free time. Some of the events that they've done. Shelby, unless you want to give us some highlights on that?
I can give you some highlights if you'd like. For Millstream Park, we actually had a loblolly pine and a hickory tree that were designated as Maryland champion trees, which there's actually a ton of trees in Centreville that are Maryland champion trees. We had someone coming out and measure and make sure that we're part of that database, so that's exciting. And one of our members, Miss Molesky, started the discussion about adding a sculpture or some sort of artwork onto the trail. But then when COVID started, that kind of got tabled, but it will probably re-arise this year. The Wharf Park, the town, the PAB voted to use $2,500 to reallocate the swing set back to the Wharf Park. And I'm sure Kip can let us know when that's scheduled. We put up some signs at Pop Taylor Park. The tree board met, and we actually have a tree board meeting coming up in March. Let's see. And then Christmas celebrations were fabulous, as everyone knows. That goes over that. For the landscape agreement, Southeast Creek Lawn was awarded a second year park landscape agreement because they did a really great job last year. And then they just kind of go over some goals for this coming year that I could read word for word, but I'm sure everyone's read them.
Perfect. Well, we thank everybody who's on that committee. They really have done a great job, and just the parks, I think, are looking fantastic. So
yeah, and with 3 new members this year, I know everyone's really excited to get some great work done this year.
excellent. Any further questions on that? Anybody? Next, we're going to have a Carter Farm discussion. At our last council meeting, I had mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about and present to the council about the critical area discussion, what the critical areas are, how it works, and what it means as it relates here to Centreville. So I do have this up on the screen here. So I'll just go through this pretty quickly. So basically, the critical area law was established in 1985, and the purpose is to improve water quality, protect the wildlife habitat, and reduce impacts of human activity on sensitive lands. As we know, Centreville is right on the headwaters here, so we've got a lot of this area, and it's defined as anything within 1,000 feet of the mean high water line of tidal waters and tidal wetlands. And you can see there, everything that's colored, whether it's green, tan, or red, is in what's considered to be the critical area. Centreville is framed by the Corsica River and the following branches: Millstream, Yellowbank, and I think I got it wrong, it's supposed to be Gravel Run, is that correct? Yeah. So within the municipal limits, we have 369 acres within the critical area. So there's 3 classifications of land. There's RCA, which is Resource Conservation, LDA, Limited Development Area, and IDA, which is Intensely Developed Area. So the RCA, LDA, and IDA, I gotta look at my notes here because I can't read it that far away. Basically, that all land within the critical area, except for the land owned by the federal government, is assigned to one of 3 classifications based on what the predominant land use was at the time that it was mapped. So RCAs make up about 80% of the critical area, and they're characterized by natural environments or areas where resource utilization activities take place. LDA are areas with low or moderate intensity development, but also that contain areas of natural plant and animal habitats. And then IDAs are defined as areas with 20 or more adjacent acres where residential, commercial, and institutional or industrial land uses predominate. We've got all 3 classifications here in the town of Centreville. So what type of development is allowed? RCA, land uses here, conservation are the most restrictive. So generally, lot coverage is limited to 15% of the project. Any new commercial, industrial, and institutional uses are not permitted. And residential density is typically limited to 1 dwelling per 20 acres. LDA is generally that lot coverage is limited to 15% of the project, and development on steep slopes is prohibited. and stormwater management is required. So it's a little bit more lenient than the RCA. And then IDA is areas of concentrated development where little natural habitat occurs, and the main focus there is on improving the water quality. So, as time goes on, land uses change. Growth does and could occur in the critical areas. So the original 1985 law understood this and provided for reclassification guidelines. And these guidelines are called growth allocations. So growth allocation is a process whereby local jurisdictions are allowed to approve additional growth and development in certain parts of the critical area by changing the classification from RCA to either LDA or IDA, or from LDA to IDA. So growth allocation is used to accommodate more intense land uses. Each county was allotted a finite number of acres that can be used to reclassify land, and requests to use growth allocations, they must go through a rigorous review and approval process at the local level, and then they also must be approved by the local governing body. And then once the local approval occurs, the requests have to be submitted to the Critical Area Commission for approval. So our growth allocation allotment, so the county, as I said, was given an allotment equal to 5% of their total RCA acreage. And Queen Anne's County's critical area program specifically targeted, they wanted to have 75% of its available growth allocation for use within the designated growth subareas, of which Centreville is one. So that means that Queen Anne's County provided the town of Centreville with 186 acres of their total. And to date, the town of Centreville has used 0 acres. Carter Farm, for example, proposal from 2015 would have used 40 acres, and growth allocation there would have changed from LDA to IDA. So why would the town approve growth allocation? Well, smart growth principles, they dictate that growth should occur where there is existing infrastructure, right? Schools, shopping, government offices, etc. Centreville also has a fully operational wastewater treatment facility. We've also got a water treatment facility. Allowing infill growth preserves other critical areas to remain undeveloped. And the town would receive a benefit for this allocation via a developer's rights and responsibilities agreement. Sharon's going to talk about that a little bit later. And without a reclassification, only 15% of the property could be developed. So a 46-acre parcel, it's about 7 acres, which would include all impervious surfaces, roads, sidewalks, houses, driveways, patios. It really doesn't allow for much development at all. So how does the process work? A developer must be in compliance with the zoning ordinance, including critical areas law that we have within our zoning ordinance, and then petition the town for the growth allocation. Planning Commission would hold a public hearing with reviews, and then they would approve the site plan and the subdivision plan in accordance with the zoning ordinance. The town council would hold a public hearing on the request. Town council would then also publish findings of fact, either supporting or refuting the developer's request. The town council would then introduce and pass an ordinance, which would grant approval to the findings of fact, and then any additional provisions or conditions on that approval. The town would then apply to the State Critical Area Commission for reclassification. State Critical Area Commission makes a determination and sets additional conditions possibly for approval. And then the town would typically enter into a DRRA with the developer, which would also include a public hearing. So how does it work at the Critical Area Commission level? The town, again, would submit the growth allocation application, including the ordinance. The chair of the commission can either approve or forward to the commission for concurrence, or convene a full commission meeting to hear the application. The commission can impose conditions of approval. So what were the conditions of the previous application? One of the things the commission was very concerned was that the developer would not construct the publicly accessible perimeter trail requirement, and they specifically conditioned that as on this parcel. What are some of the things the town requested in the previous growth allocation? We had put out an exhibit, which was an ordinance 02-2015. So they had to conform with the site plan. They had to provide a cash payment to the town for improvements. They had to require amenities, they had to adhere to architectural guidelines, adherence to stormwater best management practices. There were required infrastructure improvements. We had a timeline for completion, and then any other requests or conditions that the town would find as necessary. A couple of things, if you want to do further reading, is the Town of Centreville 2009 Community Plan. Chapter 2 is a community profile, and it discusses on page 213 to 215 the Chesapeake Bay critical area laws. And then I'm open for questions, if there are any. All right, no questions. Sharon, do you want to discuss the DRRA real quick?
Sure.
What a DRRA is? And
Sure. So a Developers' Rights and Responsibilities Agreement, or DRRA, is a contract that's entered into between the town and an owner or developer. And it governs what that future development is going to be and spells out the rights and obligations of all the parties. Without a Developers' Rights and Responsibilities Agreement, a developer doesn't have vested rights in zoning unless they obtain a building permit and they basically start constructing. So what are vested rights? Well, it means the town can't change the rules. If you don't have vested rights, the town could say, okay, we're gonna change the density that's allowed somewhere, or the uses, or any aspect of the zoning, and a developer could come all the way, spend all this money, design a project, go all the way through, get their approvals, but because they don't have vested rights yet, the town could change the rules and they're back to square one. So the state went ahead and authorized DRAs, and the town enacted an ordinance, and it's chapter 45, chapter 45, I think, of the town code now, to authorize the town to enter into these agreements. So that agreement would give a developer vested rights in the zoning that existed at the time the agreement was entered into. So there's the benefit for the developer. You might be saying, well, why would the town want to do that? In exchange for giving this vested rights, the town can get public infrastructure improvements and things like that as part of the deal. An exaction is basically a concession by a developer, some type of improvement or land that they dedicate or money that they contribute. And for a normal by right subdivision you're following all the rules of what you're allowed to do under the zoning ordinance, you have to have the exactions that are part of an approval have to be proportional and have a nexus to the development approval. So you're a little bit more limited on what you can get a developer to do for a normal by rights approval. So a DRRA, because it's a discretionary thing and you're giving them something valuable such as vested rights in zoning, you can expand those exactions to get additional public infrastructure improvements and things like that. So that's what the benefit to the town is. And the town authorized the town to enter into these agreements, but for each specific agreement, there's a process that you have to go through. It has to get referred to the planning commission, you have to have a public hearing, and ultimately, there's a resolution that would approve the specific agreement that would be entered into, so. We haven't done one yet here, but we authorized it a few years ago, and Carter Farm would have been the first one which we would have done, but the project never came to fruition, so.
it's a good tool to have when
great
you wouldn't necessarily use a public works agreement.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have questions on the DRRA?
I was looking through the packet. Do you have your comments or a memorandum?
Carolyn handed out tonight a memo I did back in
put it in there
2013.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay.
So when we did the DRA statute for Centreville in 2013, I did a memo, and so I sent that to her to hand out tonight.
Here, you can take that one.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. All right, I also provided a little memo about what a T&D zone is, how it worked. I'm not going to really go into all that. You guys have that there. It's also is in our community plan. So we can certainly discuss that further if you're interested, but basically we rezoned that parcel to be what's called more traditional neighborhood type development. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to go over regarding the Carter Farm?
That's currently, as my understanding, there's a developer considering development of that property. Is that, we've been notified, or?
Yeah, I think that there's, there is a potential development that may be interested. They've got several things that they've got to do to comply with the town code and the town zoning ordinance before that it would be.
The same, but it's on the horizon, possibly.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on, we're going to go to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence?
No.
All right. Report of boards and commissions, Centerville Parks Advisory Board.
So a couple updates from the last meeting in February. Let's see, one of our new members, Mr. McNeil, he has been asked that we install some sort of bar that is placed at the kayak launch ramp on Millstream Park to help people get in and out of their kayaks. So Kip is looking into that. We discussed restoring the basketball court on Millstream Park, which I know Bob has been asking about.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. You caught me.
Sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
One of the things we're discussing is something that the town can do to honor the memory of John and Nancy Covert. So we had a couple different options, and we are reaching out to the family members to see how they respond to those. So I can report back about that. And then let's see. We did note that there was multiple calls during the holidays about bulbs that were out on decorations. So we were updated that there will be new decorations and some budget for next year, or this year's Christmas decorations for that. Our next meeting is via Zoom on March 2nd, and we're also having a tree board meeting, which is underneath the Parks Board, and that's going to go over some plans for Arbor Day, which typically involves, the Centreville Elementary School students and planting trees. It was not able to happen last year, so hopefully we can do something this year. And I can report back about that next week.
Great. I was going to ask about the Arbor Day, because I know that that's something that's super great, right? And those kids just love doing that, and having them come down and get their hands dirty, and it's really great. And Sandy does a great job.
Oh,
in
yeah, she
managing
does.
that.
So yeah, I'll definitely report back next week at our meeting to see how that goes.
Great. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council of Governments.
Nothing. We haven't had a meeting. Hopefully we'll have March's meeting the 10th, so we'll see.
So the meeting on the 10th is going to be the discussion on the tax differential, and that will be an opportunity for the town to meet with the county and kind of justify what our request is for percentages. Typically in the past, the council president has done that. I'm actually going to be out of town that week, so I would recommend that Council Vice President Klein lead that discussion along with whoever else would need to be there. I mean, certainly, if all the council could go, that'd be great. But if you'd be willing to take that, I think it'd be good for you to discuss.
When was that?
March 10th?
And that's going to be here?
I don't know where.
We're not sure
I'm not
yet.
sure where it is.
We're not sure yet.
Okay. But that's where
Because this
all
room
the,
isn't, we don't have enough room in here for everybody now.
but that's where all the councils of government, the towns.
The town.
Come before the county commission.
Well, no, so that's more of an informal discussion where everyone's kind of at the same level. And at this particular meeting is going to be the one where the town will then say to the county commissioners, here's why we think we should get 100% for this and 75% for that. There's going to be another meeting, I think it's on the 24th, where we actually present to the.
Okay, so this is where the COG gets together.
Correct.
On the 10th.
Yeah.
And then on the 24th is the,
Yep.
okay, so get that on our calendars. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. All right, anything further on that?
No.
Maryland Municipal League?
I did get a whole bunch of information from the MML on dog parks.
Excellent.
So now that I've received it and I don't have to worry about ice on my driveway, I'm going to be interacting with Mike, and if Shelby wants to join the discussion, she's more than willing.
Yeah.
And that Mike and the Park Advisory Board has identified 15 wonderful sites. I looked at the first 7, and after that I said, I don't need to look, because those first 7 look like prime sites.
Okay.
So I think that's a possibility that we can proceed in the future with a dog park.
Great.
That we then can work with the county, because it will probably encompass both governments, maybe bringing funds together. I've already had some people in Symphony Village that are interested and understand that it's a non-governmental organization, like a nonprofit, and they will operate it, and we will kind of establish it. So that's moving forward.
That's great. Anything else?
No.
So
it's great.
Go ahead.
No, that's great. Oh, and then they mentioned that I might have to sacrifice and go to OC this summer.
Yeah, so I think let's have that discussion, right? So as of today, what MML's guidance is that as of now, they're planning for an in-person annual conference. However, it's going to be limited to 400 people. And the way that they're starting it out is only 2 members from each town are going to be able to go. If at some point others don't come or the COVID gets over, then we'll expand it out. So I've been a bunch of times. It's super important. It's a great thing for everyone to go. But if we can't do it, you know, I think we need to decide upon our 5 people who should be going. Carolyn, do you know when the deadline is when we need to submit that? I think it's coming up pretty soon.
I have to look. They just sent an email out yesterday about it, but I have to look. I do know that we need to do a video for a virtual flag
Right.
parade, and that has to be submitted by, I believe, April 15th. So we'll need to.
I'll coordinate with you about that.
Okay. So why don't we kind of think it through, and then we could put this on our agenda for next meeting, if that's okay with everybody, to decide, duke it out as to who's going to get to go.
Well, Bob's our liaison. I think Bob should go.
Okay?
Oh, I'm already there.
All right?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I've had a couple of discussions with people at MML. Jim Peck, who is the chief researcher, and he will be a good resource, I think, for us to bring questions to them so that we can, I'll just say, see what other towns and government entities do within Maryland. That will help provide us so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, or if somebody has best practices, that we can take advantage of those.
I will volunteer not to go.
I was going to say you should go as council vice president.
I think Shelby or Jeff are welcome to go.
Do you have, does any of you guys have a preference?
Do you know what the dates are?
Yeah. I need
June
to make dates.
27th.
June 27th.
I would have to double check, so
I will tell you, that's my daughter's
Back next
birthday,
meeting.
and we've been going every year, and she doesn't like it when we can't go.
June 27th, how many days is it?
Okay.
Usually starts on a Sunday
Yeah.
through Wednesday.
Okay, it's 27th, 29th, okay.
Great.
Is it you?
I'll need to double check my calendar, but I can let you guys know next week.
Okay, good. All right, perfect. Let's put that on the agenda, and we'll finalize that for next week. That's great. Thank you. Let's see, Centreville Planning Commission, we talked about the ordinance the recommended approval for the moratorium for the agriculture text amendment. They also did approve the site plan for the mini warehouse that's going to be potentially put on the backside of where the warehouse is now. I don't have any other updates on the Planning Commission, I think.
There were 3 items weren't discussed. It was the mini warehouse.
Yep.
The text amendment.
Yeah.
And what was the third one? I'm sorry.
The third one was a preliminary site plan, concept plan for GTI.
Oh, okay, the warehouse was, okay, I get, the warehouse is connected with the storage warehouses on Railroad Avenue.
You know what, there was another one. There was another subdivision approval for, I forget if it's Lot I or Lot K or Lot G, for another kind of small warehouse in the business park as well.
Okay.
Yep, so they were moving
All
forward on
right,
that.
so there was a lot of action then.
There was
Lot E1.
Lot E1. There was a lot of action there. It's good to see some activity going on.
Oh, yeah, oh, yes, yeah.
All right, moving on, we're going to go to report of department heads, town manager.
We entered into a lease agreement with AB Indiana. It's a agreement where that particular company will be putting an antenna on the water tower at the Northbrook, and they will be providing internet service to those residents in Northbrook who want to subscribe to their service.
Did you say ABB?
AB Indiana.
AD Indiana.
Right, that's
Okay.
the name of the company. They're based out of Hunt Valley.
Okay.
Also have, I guess, a schedule in front of you. It's what we call a technical advisory committee. It's very similar to what the county has done over many, many years. The county's staff technical advisory committee is actually called STAC, S-T-A-C. But the town's never really formally adopted a schedule, and so we thought, it'd be time to implement one. We also have found that, it has sort of gotten to a point where we're kind of pressed for time on trying to, when submittals come in to go to the planning commission, the time between when the submittal comes in and when we have planning commission really doesn't lend itself enough time for our staff and our technical advisory consultants to help us out. So this schedule is very similar to what the county does, and it's really to provide some additional time to do the reviews for development projects.
So this is just town staff that comprise this?
It's the town staff. It also is our consultant planner, consultant engineer, and at times when Sharon, the town attorney, is needed, then we would have her involved.
So the names associated with are Steve Walls, Kip Matthews, Mike Whitehill, Chris
Richard Kubiak,
Jakubiak, and Sharon.
Carolyn's on the committee.
And Carolyn, yeah, of course, the most important person.
No, well,
Thank you,
So
Steve.
that's the makeup of the committee.
No.
So as it shows there on the chart that I provided, gives the staff about 12 business days for review, about 10 business days to prepare and submit comments, allows the applicant about 10 business days to resubmit, to get ready to send to the planning commission, which is about 11 business days prior to when the packets will go out to the members. And it also is designed to provide a little bit extra time for the planning commission. Typically in the past, they only had it for about a week to review, and some of these submittals are very large and voluminous. So we're shooting to give the planning commission about 12 calendar days to prepare. We also have, the finance office. They did complete the transaction that the council directed to have the Queenstown loan paid off, and Karen had put the approximately $72,000 in funds that were remaining that was deposited in the permanent fund. So that's I did share back on the TAC schedule. I did share that with the planning commission at their last meeting. So that's the report.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Next, we got Chief of Police.
Good evening. In your package, you'll find the January 2021 department overview for the Centreville Police Department. A couple of points of matter. The Red Speed automated speed enforcement camera system, which are currently located on Kidwell Avenue and Chesterfield Avenue, have issued, which is school zones, issued a combined 197 speed limit violations for January. And just some statistics there. These cameras are deployed in a 25-mile-per-hour school zone and triggered at 12 miles per hour the speed limit. 88.7% of those citations, those total citations, were for traveling 37 to 42 miles over the speed limit. 8.47 were 42 to 45 miles or in a miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone. And then we had one that was traveling between 52 and 55 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour school zone. Our third ASC camera will be deployed tomorrow at Railroad Avenue in the area of Green Street. Our fourth camera has application for that camera has been submitted to the Maryland State Highway for approval. Our officers during the month of January responded to 457 calls for service. There's a sample of some of the calls for service within your packets. Referring to Exhibit A, 457 calls for service in January. Our lead categories for these calls for service for January 2021 were residential and business patrol checks and traffic enforcement. So our guys are out there being highly visible. Exhibit B, you'll find a comparison from January 2019, 20, and 21, so it's a 3-year comparison. And an increase in arrests of marijuana, arrests for possession of controlled dangerous substance, not marijuana. We had an increase, a match in identity fraud, and I guess this would be a good time to remind residents of the town of Centreville to be mindful of internet scams or telephone scams, especially as we approach tax season. I would encourage any citizen that gets a suspicious phone call or suspicious email to contact the police department. We'd be happy to help them out.
Is that coordinated with Sheriff Hoffman?
Typically, what we'll do is a united push on social media where we'll make citizens aware of current or ongoing internet scams and provide resources that we offer and also the state and federal government offers.
If you want to say, we're fortunate we have two law enforcement organizations in the town.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. As previously indicated, we had Greg Torchio from Torchio Architects come out to take some measurements at the Wharf building. We're hoping to receive a proposal for that in the very near future. Regarding our LEOPS study, as recent as this afternoon, I received correspondence with someone from the Maryland State Retirement System who has requested additional information for our actuary study. So we continue to move forward with that. And then finally, I am delighted and grateful for the support of the council that our administrative assistant will begin with us next Tuesday, the 2nd.
Do we have the person selected? And
We do. She's ready to start work next Tuesday, and I plan to bring her in and formally introduce her to the members of the council.
congratulations. I know that was not an easy task. I understood there was 100 or more applicants,
Correct.
and that it was you and Crystal that had the fun.
And Ms.
Oh,
Brinkley.
Carol. Oh, excuse me.
The three of us.
That was excellent. That was, I know that was one of your 4 points that you wanted to have that done, and I'm sure it frees up all our officers and yourselves to be on the street. I think that's commendable.
All right.
Be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Town Attorney?
I have nothing.
All right. Director of Public Works, Kip, I think I see you back there. Nothing. Good, huh?
I'd like to make one statement. I would like to commend all the Public Works people for the clearing of the snow. I know in Symphony Village where I live, everybody was very appreciative. And in fact, I saw Doug and Cameron out there spreading salt on some of the icy spots. And I also understand that happened up at Northbrook also.
Throughout the town.
What?
Yeah.
And throughout the town. So I'd like to commend our Public Works employees for an outstanding job. Because that's one of the first things you get a phone call. Plow my street. So, thanks,
All right.
Kip.
Town Clerk?
Real quick, you probably, you all received an email Tuesday from Carol, our Main Street Manager, about the grant that we finally received word on, that we, which is the Maryland, I don't remember the acronym now, Maryland SERI, but I can't remember what it stands for. So Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development awarded Centreville Main Street a grant totaling $147,256. $132,300 will be used as direct business support to our for a micro grant program, and $15,226 will be used for indirect business support to fund the a bonus card program for Centreville, Maryland, the e-gift program, which we started right before Christmas. So that'll be some extra money. If you buy a $50 gift card, you'll get an extra gift card for a certain amount. So that'll help fund that to kind of boost the sales. It's projected the micro grants will be awarded in amounts of up to $3,500, and the grant stipulates that we have to use no more than 50% of the funds for indirect, which is the gift card. So the application process started yesterday morning at 9 o'clock. It opened up, and as of this evening before the meeting, we've received 16 applications so far.
Wonderful.
That's great.
So,
Carol did a great job
She
of
did.
marketing that, kind of pre-setting it out there, getting people ready.
Yeah. So we received word that we had an amount, but then we didn't receive official word yet, but they apparently passed another bill that added another 2 million to it. So we got more than what we were originally anticipating, which is great, so.
It's great. I mean, the Main Street program we've had for a long time now, and it's so great to see the work that's coming to fruition, right? And, we weren't able to do a lot of the activities that we typically do, but the fact that we're able to get this grant to help these guys out, that's, and 16 applications already in like 24
Yes,
hours.
Yeah, so Carol set up, which we actually received a comment from one of our business owners today. Carol had an online application set up. She bought a URL, which is included actually in the cost of this grant she's using, where Corsica set up an online application, which we've never had before. And they said it was just extremely easy just to go in and plug in the information. They just have to attach their, good standing and their license and all that. So we will, after this, we'll probably use that. Centerville MD grants as, we'll set it up for our facade grants too, so people can apply that way, which will be a lot easier, so, yeah,
Great.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. Anything else?
that's it.
All right. Citizens Forum. Any citizens that want to come up and be heard? We've got 3 minutes. Yeah, you're welcome to come on up. Just introduce yourself, tell us where you live, and you've got 3 minutes.
Just real quick, I'm Rebecca Flora. I'm with the Carter Farm Development, so I'm just here listening, learning, and looking forward to presenting to you all some of our concept plans for the development on that site. So just want to make the introduction and look forward to giving you a full presentation, I hope.
Fantastic.
In the future.
You said Carter Farm?
Yep.
Oh, great,
So I'm
thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
co-developing.
that was that unknown developer I kept mentioning.
Yes. So there is a smile under this mask. But my partner Ernie Soto and I are really looking forward to sharing the concept that we have for the site. And we know it's going to be a hard row. It's a lot of approvals to get through. But we're very excited. I live in Chestertown, and most of my development has been around the country, most recently Pittsburgh. So it's going to be fun to be able to do something in our backyard, I hope. So look forward to more discussion.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Can we get your contact information?
Yes, I have cards.
Thank you.
I have to give them to Carolyn maybe.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Anybody else for Citizens Forum? Council Roundtable, Ms. Anania,
Nothing to report at this time.
Mr. Keel.
I want to again thank Kip. I made a phone call to him. There was a bad ice problem out to Northbrook. They were sliding through the intersection, and he took care of it for me real fast. And also Chief Sabori, I want to thank him. His officers are well represented in the town. Every time I go somewhere, I see one of them. So I want to thank him for that. So.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Hardy?
Yes, I would second Jeff's comment to Chief. I know the citizens in Symphony Village appreciates the police presence. And this is something I'd just like to raise because I had discussions with Steve this week that as my fellow council member, Mr. Klein, was looking to review the salary structure. I would like to, and Steve and I think agreed, and anybody else want to join us, I mean, we'll maybe get Crystal and maybe Carolyn, to look at total staffing, the numbers. That, do we need somebody, does Carolyn need an assistant? Does, so we can then move forward and better serve our citizens. Okay. So I think besides salary, I think we got to look at the number. I mean, I'm not looking to double it or think to double it. I think we can be judicious and help our employees do their job more efficiently.
All right.
So you always said at Roundtable we need to introduce stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that'd be a good thing to bring up during the budget time and, have some.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve, for the idea.
Anything else?
No, I'm fine.
First of all, I want to apologize to Council Vice President Klein. Last meeting, I was so intent on getting what I wanted to get done, I totally skipped him, so my sincerest apologies.
I'm going to accept that apology by yielding back my time.
Of course. All right, so I just have a couple of things. I will be out on the meeting on the 18th. I will not be in town, so you're going to have to get along without me. That'll be an opportunity for you to step up. Previous years when we only had 3 council members, if somebody was out, we typically either pushed the meeting or didn't really do any work. Now that we've got 5, and if one person is out, we got to keep moving forward. So, I encourage whatever needs to be on the agenda, go forward with it. Also, I was asked to join a Queen Anne's County rebranding committee. It's going to be like a charrette. They're having 4 meetings. The one that I'm going to go to, I think, is on the 16th of March. Paige has been invited, and Carol D'Agostino has been invited, and they've invited all of the council presidents from the different municipalities here in town, so I just want to let you guys know about that. It's only one kind of meeting. What they told me today was that the Live, Work, and Play has been around for about 20-some years. They've gotten a grant, and they want to see if there's some new ideas to put in there.
I forgot one thing.
Yeah.
I've been in contact with the Queen Anne's County Broadband Advisory Committee, headed up by Jack Wilson and Megan, I never can pronounce her name.
Yeah.
They've asked me to be part of it, not an official member because all the seats are filled. And I've talked with Allison Davis, who has been an active member of that committee, and we're going to look at, they loosely called it a strategic plan, but it's more of a review of all the options, alternatives for broadband within the county.
All right.
So with our interest of fiber optics, I'm going to be finding out more about what the county is doing in this area.
Perfect.
And it is a big initiative, I think, for our young people.
Yep.
Oh, one other thing. Speaking of internet, there's a speed survey that has been put out by the state where they are asking everybody that has a computer, please go to speed survey, and you click on the link and it tells you how fast your computer is. Upload, download, and what that's going to do is establish what counties are served and what counties are underserved, or where in counties are underserved. So that's a very important initiative, and especially for Queen Anne's County and the town of Centreville. So I've posted it on my Facebook page, other people are putting it out. Beth Molaski, as the public information officer, has put it out, and I encourage everybody to do that, because if we don't identify what our served and underserved areas are, this is to get money, grant money from the federal government and the state. So please go do the speed survey. Thank you.
Could I add one more thing?
Yeah.
Councilman Hardy just brought up that broadband. You'll see it in your draft agenda for next week, but we do have Megan Delgado from the county coming to give a presentation on broadband.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.